it's nice to know that we have a God who loves us just as we are. And then, I mean, obviously being a Christian helps too. And over time, I think we grow over time, and as we grow, we are able to better handle the times where we do feel not good enough, like a failure, whatever the case is.
I just call them lies that enter your head. Those lies are not from God. And if you look at yourself and see yourself how God sees you, God loves you like even more than a mother or father should love his or her own child.
Hello, this is Andrea from OurDayDream, back again with another awesome chat. This week we have David and Daniel Deputy from Winona Avenue. I am in a hotel right now in Circleville, Ohio for a Corey Asbury concert, so a little bit of a mess. The wind was blowing something fierce today trying to move around, but we did get Winona Avenue, and I'm super excited to share their words with you, but also share their music too. If you see Winona Avenue coming into your area, make sure you check them out. They have beautiful music and beautiful hearts too. So without further ado, here is Winona Avenue.
Hey,
what's up?
Hey.
Been a while.
Yeah, true that. Are you guys getting blown away where you're at? There's like
Are we getting what?
blown away by the wind where you're
Oh,
at?
no, it's not too windy. It's very nice here, though. It's
I
We're
can
down,
walk.
we're down by
Outside.
Jacksonville, so it's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Jacksonville? Yeah. Is that, you're on tour now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I used to live there whenever I was a kid.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
we're like on the south side, like we're heading down to St. Augustine coming up tomorrow.
Oh, St. Augustine is beautiful. Will you get an opportunity to check it out?
a little bit, sort of.
Yeah.
We don't do a lot of sightseeing on the road.
Yeah.
We usually stay pretty busy, but every once in a while we'll get some time off. And like, I know later we'll be near like Gulf Breeze and Panama City. Like we might go hit up a beach, later in April when we're in that area.
Yeah, St. Augustine's really pretty.
Yeah, we've been there one other time, and it was
Yeah?
I remember it being really great. Yeah, the people that we worked with and are going to be working with again are awesome there too.
Yeah. So I always like to start out with like your testimonies, like what's your story, what brought you to doing what you do now? Because I know I think it's really awesome because you could always go the secular route, but you're doing this thing for God. So I always feel like there's like some type of sort of story behind that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll go way back. Me and my brother, we grew up liking the same type of music: punk rock, alternative rock, pop punk. This was back when I was in like 5th grade, and he started learning the guitar, and I thought it was really cool that he was learning the guitar. So then I started learning the guitar. So he kind of inspired me to, learn an instrument. He didn't stick with it.
Yeah, I stopped playing immediately.
Yeah. He obviously rejoins the story later on though. But anyways, fast forward a couple years, I had a group of friends, and one of them rode the school bus next to me. And we, once again, liked the same type of music: pop punk, alternative rock. We would trade CDs. Back when CDs were more popular, we both had these non-skippable CD players that still skipped on the school bus, and these big CD wallets or cases or whatever you called them. But he got me plugged into a youth group, and we kind of had a circle of friends. We all went to this youth group. We really just enjoyed being around each other. We all liked the same type of music. And this youth group went to a Christian music festival called Ichthus Festival. I don't know if you've heard of that before. It was in Kentucky. It was one of the biggest festivals like a decade ago. And I didn't get to go the first year or two, and I remember being very jealous that they got to get off school Thursday and Friday, because it was like a religious event. It was a Thursday through Sunday thing. So I was like, oh, I'm here at school and you're all going camping and seeing all these bands that I love.
What's funny is when I started finally going, I don't remember it being during the school year. I think they moved it.
Yeah, I don't know. I always remember being Thursday to Friday, but eventually I finally got the opportunity to go, and I was very excited to get off of school and to go camping with my friends and see all these bands that I loved, and had no idea it was going to be a life-changing experience. I don't remember a time in my life when I didn't believe there was a God, but there's a difference between believing that there is a God out there and actually knowing that he cares about us and that he loves us and wants to have a relationship with us. So that was kind of what I learned at this festival. Is a big stepping stone in my faith. There are just so many amazing speakers, ministries, small groups, artists and musicians. And I remember our youth group even like bought this book from a speaker. It was like a 30-day challenge where every day after the festival, we did one thing to like deepen our relationship with Christ, or one thing to help someone else, or whatever it might be. So just an amazing festival. The interesting thing is the bands that I went to see weren't necessarily the bands that spoke to me or the speakers that spoke to me. You know, there were other small groups and just, you know, the pastors and people I went to that, you know, God used to do that. But without the bands that I wanted to go see, there's no way I was going to that festival. And they're the ones that brought me there. And, you know, God used to bring me there. So ever since, that's kind of inspired me to do the same thing. I feel like if God could use those bands to bring me to this festival, then God can use me to do the same thing. You know, growing up on the school bus and music, you know, I remember I was just getting into a youth group, and I would hear these bands, and I'd be like, when I found out it was a Christian band, I'd get like excited because I was like, oh, this sounds just like the other music I like. But like, it was uplifting, it was, you know, encouraging, where some of the other music would just tear me down. So that's just what I feel like I'm called to do, and bring back David into the story here in a minute. The group of friends, we started a band. We were terrible at the time. By the grace of God.
Some people still think.
Yeah, no, I don't know about that. Yeah, maybe. By the grace of God, we ended up being listenable. Is that a word?
Probably.
A couple of years later. And in 2011, we had our biggest concert to date. It was a big conference for like 2,000 people. I have no idea how we booked this show. It was definitely not to the level we were at the time, but we needed a drummer. And so David re-enters the story. He was learning drums. He was a beginner.
So I kind of messed around with drums a tiny bit when I was in middle school, which would have been a few years before this. But like I knew a couple beats, and then never really stuck with that, just like, you know, every other instrument. And then I started to kind of dabble with drums a little bit again in like 2010, but I didn't really get much better. I didn't really practice, but I was like playing for our worship teams. Like I knew like a couple of the church beats that I could throw into any song, and, you know, a couple of super easy drum fills. But I was barely a drummer at the point when Daniel ended up asking me if I would join him and his band at the time, and join him for that show. I had, I think, a few months to try to pretend like I was a professional level drummer. And so Daniel actually taught me, because he at that time was a much better drummer than I was, and he taught me how to play all of the songs I needed to know for the live set. And those were like the only songs I knew for like a year, because I just practiced those nonstop, just trying to pretend like I was good at what I was doing.
But he did a very good job of the show, played the show to perfection. The biggest difference between him then and him now, him then, he was so focused, he would barely move around on the drum kit. And then I know you saw us live the one time, he just goes wild on the kit now. But yeah, we've been playing music ever since. That band ended up disbanding, and we started Winona Avenue in 2019 and released a lot of music during the pandemic. And then the last year or two, we've been touring a lot, kind of making up for not doing that during the pandemic. So that's just kind of a little bit about who we are.
Now we're sitting in a random hotel south of Jacksonville, Florida, in the middle of a tour.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we're able to join you.
Yeah. Where we came from, where we are now, and kind of what inspires us to do what we're doing.
It's awesome. But So what year did your band, like your first band actually start, did you say?
Oh gosh.
Unofficially,
We might be
The
pushing like
conference?
2006 or 2007, whenever like I was attempting to teach the other guys how to
well,
play their instruments.
they
you
were
know?
almost a garage band.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys sound a lot like Blink 182.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's a band we grew up listening to a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely one of the bands I loved. But then I kind of like what I told you, like on the school bus, I'd hear a CD my friend gave me, and it was a band called Stellar Cart or like, hey, I'd be like, oh, these guys sound just like the other bands I like. So
Yeah. There isn't very many, I don't know of very many Christian artists that are bringing it into like your way. Like you guys definitely have a different way of bringing Christian music than most of the Christian, at least that I have recognized. It's either like rock or rap. It's usually not, alternative punk, Is that what you call it? Alternative?
yeah, we pretty much
Yeah.
call it whatever
Yeah,
whatever someone wants to call it.
pop
Yeah.
rock
Yeah.
seems
Pop
to kind
rock.
of be broad
Yeah.
enough that we
Yeah.
can fit into that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's definitely, and I think we've got some songs that are pop punk, we've got some that are CCM, we've got some that are pop, some that are alternative rock. So yeah, it is unique. There used to be more bands kind of back when pop punk was big, and then it disappeared, and now it's actually kind of making a little bit of a comeback. But there were more of those bands like the Reliant K's and Stellar Carts and Hawk Nelsons, and now, yeah, there's not as much out there. It does seem to be kind of a unique
Yeah.
genre within Christian music right now.
It is for sure. Uh, yeah. Anyway, I'm a big fan. I went and listened to you guys live, and it's just both of you, right?
It
On
is, yeah.
occasions. Okay, yeah. And I went and listened to you, and then I downloaded some of your music, and so me and well, he was 9 then, but he's 10 now. But we'll jam out, and he like sings along with the music too. So like we're big
Oh,
fans.
cool. Awesome.
Cool.
That's cool to hear.
Yeah, thank you. We really appreciate the support.
Yeah. I've been looking forward to this for a while,
Daniel, we have a fan.
You do.
One whole fan. No, two.
And this is a good one.
Fantastic.
Yeah. We're making it big time.
Mhm.
Can you tell me a little bit about December Night?
Yeah, sure. So December Night is a song about hope, and it's a song about life-changing experiences. And the way I write music, it's not how a lot of people write music, but I try to make it pretty vague to relate to whatever the listener is going through. So a life-changing experience can be, for example, getting married. That's a song of hope. That's maybe someone wanted to be married for a long time. And if I wrote it about getting married, then it would be probably more relatable to someone getting married, but it wouldn't really relate to someone not getting married. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it can, if I just write a more vague song about hope in general, it can relate to more people. And some people might think, oh, it's less personable, but for me, it can reach more people, and that's just kind of how I choose to write. So it can be about whatever you're going through in your life. It can be about giving your life to Christ. That is absolutely a message of hope and a life-changing experience.
That's true.
We put a different spin on it for a music video. We have a music video. If you're watching this YouTube, Winona Avenue, December Night, it's an adoption themed, Christmas themed, winter themed, too many themes, music video. And it's about a kid that's out and alone and wandering kind of in the cold in the nighttime and longing for parents. And it's also about parents that are sitting at a table in a cabin, and it just looks like they're missing something. Something's missing. They want a child. And the life-changing moment is when they adopt the child. It's a message of hope. And you can also put another spin on it, whereas you aren't necessarily the one that is longing for something. God can be using you to provide hope for someone else, and that's God using those parents to provide the hope for the child. And then obviously, because we called it December Night, we put some wintry nighttime themes, you know. I think we mentioned like a blizzard, but then the sun rises, you know. So that's kind of what it's about. It's maybe one of our more vague songs, but definitely a powerful message for sure.
I love that. Like to think about that is like, you know, somebody else might be a source of hope for me, but in that, you know, them giving me hope, you know, it like reverses itself to where, you know, I could be giving them hope as well. And I
Yeah,
think
absolutely.
oftentimes I think oftentimes that goes kind of unnoticed. I think a lot of people are really good with like um giving love away or compassion, but where it's hard is receiving that back from people. So
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, and just being kind to people is so powerful and sometimes overlooked too.
yeah, it is. We're definitely in a very hardened type of society. Uh yeah. I blame it on like I was thinking about like my family because I'm 40 and like you know, like my parents and then a lot of parents in that generation tried to split themselves off from the church because when they were younger they had to go to church, you know, and then it was like that whole generation was kind of like, I don't really I had to go my whole life. Like, I'm not going now since I'm like all grown up. And then, you know, then you have a lot of society now is kind of like, which is my age, you know, they're all dispersed from the church house. I don't know. I'm hoping like I think it's so cool now because I know the first concert that I went to, I thought it was going to be like a choir and yeah, and it was Disciple.
There's
And
Oh, cool.
pyro and
Yeah.
LED walls and
so then I was like blew my mind. So then I'm like realizing then later on that there was like rap, you know, there's alternative, but
Yeah.
it's so cool
Definitely
to
a
me.
wider variety than, you know, some people growing up going to church might realize. You know, they're either singing hymns
Absolutely.
or worship music, and there's definitely a place for that. But there's also a place for, I call it outreach music, you know, music that people that don't give worship music a chance will give a chance, you know.
Yeah,
we do
absolutely.
a lot of uh, probably more than most bands. We do a lot of shows where it's, you know, we'll play at a church and it's their first time holding a concert or a rock concert or something. And it's so cool seeing people. It's like it's clearly like what we do is focus more for like youth, young adults, not just that, but I think that's what comes to most people's mind when they hear our music. One of my favorite things is seeing people walk in through the doors, and we're at a church, and there's older people in the church that are coming because it's an event and they want to support it. You know, they've got these 80, 90 plus year old people walking in, and they're like looking around like, what is going on? And then the music
Right.
starts, and like as the concert goes on, they get more and more into it. They're having a good time. And even if our music's not really their thing, and I'm sure we're way too loud for a lot of them, it's cool watching them just see the rest of the church get super into it and have a good time, and they've invited friends, and there's new faces in the church and people are being encouraged, and that's one of my favorite things about being on the road and playing for like newer, you know, churches who don't usually do concerts. Like
Right.
they're expecting, like what you said, like a
Uh-huh.
you know, the choir band or
Yeah.
even like a CCM worship band, and then we come in and do that. It's fun.
Yeah, there's like there's so many out there that have no idea that you know there is like all these different genres within the Christian community. But then also like yeah, like I know that I would play Christian music on my phone, all different types of genres, because I don't pick one. I just like all kinds of music. And I would have like clients whenever I worked at the rehab, like they'll be closet Christians, you wouldn't know anything about it till all of a sudden they walk past the song and they're like, I know who sings that, and so it is, in that situation that, they might not go to church because they haven't stepped into that yet, but it's that music that's definitely drawing them in.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So Masterpiece, that is your favorite song, right, Daniel?
It is, yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess when someone asks you what your favorite song is, you have to pick one. So I can't just say I like them all equally. But it's an opportunity to share about what it means, whether it be on a podcast like this or, before we play the song at a show.
I dislike all of our songs equally.
Whoa.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm sorry.
Tired of playing them.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I love it. I love playing it. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, Masterpiece. It's definitely a song about how God created everyone unique, special, yet in his image. And God handcrafted us as a masterpiece, and he loves us as a masterpiece. Whether you're feeling alone or not smart enough or strong enough or pretty enough or handsome enough, you are enough. That's what the song's about. I know people go through tough times when they do feel alone, they do feel not good enough or, worthless, whatever it might be, but God has a purpose for us. God cares about us. He is always there. I guess I'll kind of reference our music video again for that. That's kind of a good way to, visualize what the lyrics mean. We released the music video, and a girl goes through her week, and there are different times when she doesn't feel good enough in a classroom. She doesn't feel like she's smart enough for the test or whatever. She's in like a gym and she doesn't feel strong enough. Just things like that. She backed into a car accidentally, and she didn't feel like she was good enough there. And after each scene, she looked into some sort of reflection or mirror. So whether it was like a handheld mirror or like the car mirror, or she was in an arcade and she looked into reflection there, and her reflection was missing. And that was to show that she was not seeing herself clearly. She was not seeing herself how God sees her. And then later on in the music video, she comes to this realization that she is a masterpiece. She is good enough. And then we kind of cut back to each scene, and her whole demeanor changes, and her reflection actually fades in, appears where she is seeing herself how God sees her. And then she goes about each scene. You can completely tell that she is a masterpiece. So that's kind of what the song is about. It's a message that's really important and I think needs to be heard, but it's also a simple message that believers and non-believers both can, hear and relate to. So yeah, that's what that one's about.
Have you went through that? Because I didn't start believing in God again until 2019. I was an atheist before that. And so God completely transformed just about everything about me. And so have you went through that transitioning place where you're like, wow, God changed me, and then I feel like once I started changing my inside, the outside started changing.
Mm-hmm. I think everyone goes through times like that, myself included. I can't think of one one specific example.
I still go through times like that. I mean, anyone who deals with any kind of, depression, anxiety, self-image issues, whatever it is. I mean, anybody, and even if not, I think everybody goes through times like that. But it's nice to know that we have a God who loves us just as we are. And then, I mean, obviously being a Christian helps too. And over time, I think we grow over time, and as we grow, we are able to better handle the times where we do feel, not good enough, like a failure, whatever the case is. But I think everybody's kind of been through that, which is the cool thing about Daniel writing that song, is it's really relatable.
Right.
Yeah, I just call them lies that enter your head. Those lies are not from God. And if you look at yourself and see yourself how God sees you, God loves you like even more than a mother or father should love his or her own child. And if you remember that, like, God really cares about you. I don't even think we quite comprehend as humans how much God cares
Right.
about us, and how much like he made us perfect. So
Amen. I try like, relay that to my son, because I'm just like, he's insecure about certain things and he's only 10. And I'm like, yeah, but God's inside of you. How can you be? And then he'll call me out sometimes, because I'll be like, oh man, I did that. I was so stupid. He's like, no, no, that's not stupid. God's inside of you. Calling God stupid. And I'm sorry. But
Smart kid.
right. Yeah, no. And he used that against me sometimes too. But yeah, it's like it does give you like a different sort of confidence. Even that, what can hold you down? Like death can't even hold you down. So it gives you that strength and that optimism too.
It makes the big things seem small.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. So good. Future me.
Yeah, future me. That's a fun one. So future me is about kind of a deep message. It's about how you think you have this perfect plan and you have everything figured out. You know where you're going to be tomorrow, a week down the line, a year or years down the line. And the key thing is it's your plan and it's not necessarily God's plan. And time goes by and your plans fall apart and you question to God, why did this not work out? This is what I wanted. This was what I thought you wanted. But then even more time goes by and you realize how perfect everything ended up and how things ended up better than you even could have dreamed. And you look back and you're like, you question, or you wonder why you ever questioned God in the first place. Because God had this all figured out and you're just like thinking you have no idea what's going on. But it's a song about just trusting God, trusting his timing and his ultimate plan for your life. I guess I'll bring up the music video again. I feel like that's just the best way to kind of show like what the song's about. So if you type in, if you're watching this, Future Me, Winona Avenue to YouTube, you got the skateboarding music video, punk rock, we're playing in a half pipe. And there's this kid that is really good at skateboarding. He's going to be the next Tony Hawk. He's going to be the next pro skater. Then he gets injured and then he goes to rehab. And then we don't really explain what happens after that, but it's pretty clear that he does not become the next pro skater, or whether he can, skateboard again or not. But as that goes on, we're also flashing forward to the future version of that kid, the adult version. They both have long hair, so it works, right? Yeah. But he's flipping through his old like scrapbook and old pictures of him, and he's going through old medals and like memorabilia, things from his past from skateboarding. And it kind of continues zooming out on this adult, and then you see he's putting the stuff away into a box as if that's his past. He cherishes those memories, but it's not who he is now. I don't know, maybe in the video he's packing up and moving to a different place.
And we kept the video purposefully a little bit vague.
But it continues zooming out and then it shows his child, his newborn child, and his wife sitting there on the couch next to him. And like that's what was important now. When he was a kid, he just wanted to skate. But God knew that he maybe wouldn't care about skating when he was 30, 40 years old, whatever. Like that wasn't important to him anymore. What was important was his family. So that's just kind of looking back and thinking, if I would have been this skateboarder, who knows if I have my wife, who knows if I have my child, God was looking out for me the whole time. So that's what that song's about.
So we all need to just listen to that on repeat like every day.
If you want to, yeah, that would be.
We could use the streams.
Yeah, that's. I think that that's a something that we're all definitely dealing with is like holding offense to these things. Even if you're running late, I learned, like, if I'm running late for work and then you start beating yourself up, well, you just don't know if you missed a car accident because you were late. Like, you don't know what God's actually doing in like all these like small details. And so I try to remind myself that in the moments, like, you know, like, I don't know what God's doing in this, but at the same time, you still have that human skin that says, oh, and
Yeah,
gets frustrated.
I agree. Yeah, sometimes you don't know where God's taking you.
Mhm.
I feel like we as humans, we want to know what's next, and
Yeah.
sometimes we aren't able to know what's next, but we just have to trust God with it all. That's what I believe, and He's going to guide you and lead you to where He wants you to be if you trust Him and follow Him.
Yeah. Yeah. It's petrifying jumping out of the driver's seat.
Yeah, for sure.
So like even that, you guys didn't even feel like you were ready for 2,000 people, but I mean that really took like a huge leap of faith, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we were really excited.
We
Yeah.
thought we
Were
were.
you?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so awesome.
We thought it'd be really cool to like, didn't you have like a SpongeBob hat or something?
Yeah,
And we all had these like,
stupid outfits.
we all had these like uniforms where we had like nicknames, and we thought it was like, oh, this is gonna be so cool. And we look back at that, we're like, we were just children.
Did you
But
think you'd be doing what you're doing now?
I did believe that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I probably even had bigger, I guess you could call them, dreams back then. I was like, oh, we're gonna do this next big thing. That was what was important to me, and it's not really what's important to me now. I feel like God's put us right where we are right now to reach people. But at the time, I was like, yeah, I wanted to be the next big band.
Yeah, I feel like there was a point in my life where it was like I was just looking to be the next, as far as like success is concerned, like the next Skillet or the next Switchfoot or the next Reliant K, and just be this ridiculously successful artist. And anything less than that was going to be kind of a failure. And that was even while I was a Christian, and I obviously I wanted to use music to encourage people and point people to Jesus, but I also had these other dreams, which aren't bad necessarily, but they're far less important. And then as we've grown, just as individuals, I guess the dreams have kind of changed, where now like we're so happy and blessed to be able to do what we're doing at the level we're doing it, which is, I think if you'd have told me that this was where we were going to be at 10 years ago, I would have been disappointed. But I'm so happy to be right where we are right now. And hopefully we'll, as a band, continue to grow, and see, grow a bigger fan base, see more success from the business side of things. But that takes the back seat now. It's just great to be able to do what we're passionate about, and it's hard to complain about not being bigger or more successful.
I remember the term back in the day that all my friends would use was like, oh, I can't wait to make it. And like, I don't even know what make it means, to be honest, because wherever you're at, there's always something bigger and better that you're chasing for. But someone told me once, it's like, you've already made it. And like, this was a long time ago. It's like, you're out here, you're performing these shows, you're reaching people with your music, with your message. Like, this is what you always wanted. And ever since that, that's just kind of how I go about it. I mean, we're blessed to be doing what we're doing right now.
Right. I read that in a post a couple months ago. It's like once you hit the top of the stop focusing on getting to the top of the mountain, because once you hit the top of the mountain, there's another peak that you have to climb. And I'm like, ouch.
For sure. I mean, and how many people get to just go around and play music for a living. Like it's so unbelievably rare. And it's just so cool that we get to do this. And that we're kind of, to circle back to how the podcast started, that in some situations we're doing for other people like what some of Daniel's favorite bands did for him, as far as, drawing Daniel to Jesus. We kind of get to do the same thing now, which is awesome.
It's so true. I was going through like definitely a rough period whenever I saw you guys in concert. And so I was definitely, I guess, going through a lot of internal changes, and definitely I would say depression. Also not feeling sufficient as a parent and overwhelmed as a parent. And I was just really like, I guess, beating the snot out of the way that I was handling my life, whenever there was really nothing that I could do any differently than what I knew how to do. But whenever I listen to you guys in concert, and then I would play like Masterpiece on repeat, like for a week straight, just trying to pound that into my head, like, God did design you faithfully. And so it helped me through a hard thing that I was going through. So I guess we just don't really know the impacts that we're having, especially in a broken society where everybody's taking the hits. You guys are human, so you're still taking the hits too. But grateful that you do what you do, that you are, helping people through that.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah,
I mean,
thank you.
that's a huge encouragement to us, because we will occasionally get messages on social media or whatever, people kind of sharing similar stories, but that's the kind of stuff that keeps us going. It means so much that we were able to kind of help you through that, at least a little bit.
And we would have never known, like, if you didn't tell us right now. And I guess that's just kind of an example then, and watching, like, no matter what you do in your everyday life, you can be impacting someone else, so just take advantage of that.
It's such an awesome level too. Like, you guys will never know the impacts that you're making, or how many people are, you know what I mean? Like,
or it could go the other way around too, where it's like, make sure not to be negative, even if you have a bad day, because that can negatively impact someone. You have no idea that happened.
Yeah, it's so true. So you have a podcast. Are you still doing the podcast?
Yeah, me and one of my best friends, Brad, we do a podcast. We're not doing it a lot right now. It's kind of become like a monthly thing, and we sometimes will stream ourselves playing video games and stuff like that. But yeah, it's been fun. It's interesting for me because I'm naturally not much of a talker or very outgoing, but putting me in a room with some of my best friends, we're able to just have a good time. So yeah, it's been fun.
What's the name of that, just in case anybody wants to check it out?
It's called Among the Noise. So if and it's not, I guess I should be clear, it's not necessarily like a Christian podcast per se. So like, it's me, Brad, the other co-host, is also a Christian, but we have all different types of people on. We talk about all different types of things. But yeah, if you want to check it out, it's Among the Noise. If you like, video games is kind of our main thing that we talk about. We'll talk about music, tour life, and all kinds of other shenanigans too. So.
Boys will be boys. So what's coming up? You guys are on tour now. What's coming up?
We are going to be touring a lot. We're staying busy. Really, I guess May we have off, and then we're going to be back busy during the summer. But it's time for us to write some new music. I've been staying busy, not really had a lot of time to write, so I'm just going to try to set aside some time coming up, and even if it's just a couple songs, get them recorded and get something new. We're very excited about that, and then continue just playing shows as well. And hopefully the goal would be by the end of 2023 to have some new music. I'm the type of person that if I'm gonna write a song, I don't want to just set aside, a day and be like, all right, we'll see what happens. Hopefully it's good enough. Like I want to set aside enough time to make it. I want to make it better than our whole first album was.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a perfectionist in me, but yeah, I'm just going to sit down and get it done and write whatever God puts on my heart. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and for people listening, so for the rest of this tour, we're kind of floating around northern Florida, all over Alabama and Georgia. So feel free to check out WinonaAvenue.com for tour dates. Then after that, we'll be in Indiana and Michigan in late May and June. Early to mid-June, then we start our East Coast run. So still in the works, but we're looking at early to mid-June, starting up near New York State, and then we'll work our way down the coast.
So we'll be
Hopefully
everywhere. So
Pennsylvania.
if you live anywhere in the US,
Yeah, and well,
all right,
unless
that's
you're west of like Indiana.
yeah. All right, that was an exaggeration.
Yeah.
Hopefully Pennsylvania, or not yet? No dates yet.
I think I remember seeing Pennsylvania.
I think so. Yeah. We've got one Pennsylvania date, and then we've got what is it, Virginia, that's like right on the border of Pennsylvania, and then maybe a West Virginia.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, maybe we can
Yeah.
reconnect there.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
So do you have a manager that books you, or do you guys do the booking? Like, how do they reach out to your website if they want to schedule a concert?
Yeah, so right now you're talking to the booking agent, the manager, the social media manager, the tour manager,
They say
the
that's
audio
usually the
engineer,
drummer.
the lighting director, the business manager,
Yeah.
the bookkeeper. What else do we do? A lot.
Yeah.
Business owners.
So yeah, just feel free to
Songwriter,
reach out
drummer,
to
guitar.
us. We have emails on our website. I think it's booking@WinonaAvenue.com. You will get in touch with our booking manager, aka David, and he will work with you on bringing us in.
Hopefully one day we can pass off some of these responsibilities, but for now it works.
They say that most bands, the drummer has to step up for the.
We got to be good for something.
Yeah, I'll be posting out your links and stuff then too. I appreciate you guys for joining me and taking time, and
Yeah, absolutely. It was
Thanks for
great
having us.
joining you. Thank you.
prayers for safe travels, and that people continue to show up and hear your word.
Absolutely.
Thank
Thank you. Yeah, we appreciate it.
All right, well, I'll be reaching out to you guys soon.
Sweet.
All right, sounds
Thank
good.
you so much for everything.
See you. Bye.
See ya.
Again, if you like this message, please hit subscribe, because we have an awesome guest coming up every week and I don't want you to miss out. Don't forget, in the description below, there is our Daydream merch. So check it out. I hope you guys have an awesome week, and I'll see you next time. God bless. Bye.